So by now, everybody's heard of Versace Eros. When we say Versace Eros, most of the time people are thinking of the Eau de Toilette version. At one point, it was a ubiquitous club scent. It was everywhere. People were wearing it in clubs, on nights out. It was just super popular for social settings. Everybody's familiar with that original DNA, the vanilla, the tonka bean, and the mint. A lot of people think that that might be a little bit played out. Well, I'm here to introduce you to Versace's Eros Flame. While it takes some of that original DNA, it amplifies it in some parts and minimizes other parts to give us this really interesting take on the original DNA. You might want to stick around and check this one out. Hello everybody, welcome back to Real Scent Review. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing to my channel and also dropping a like. Versace's Eros Flame. Everybody's familiar with the original Eros. It used to be ubiquitous. Everybody was wearing it on nights out to the club, to the bars. People are familiar with this DNA. I also am familiar with the fact that a lot of my viewers are in the Southern Hemisphere, and recently I've been releasing a lot of videos that are centered on cooler weather fragrances because where I am in the Northern Hemisphere, it's quite chilly right now. So I thought I'd meet you halfway and introduce Eros Flame, which is, yes, it maintains some of the sweet Eros DNA, but it also adds a very citric, uplifting, fresh tinge, if you want to call it. So, getting right into this, bottle, exact same design as the original Eros line. It has the Medusa logo in front, although you might not want to look directly at it unless you want to turn to stone. The only difference really is the color here. It's a deep red as opposed to the old blue bottles. I am, a fan of these. I do like the bottles. This is an Eau de Parfum concentration, but it is not the same as Versace Eros Eau de Parfum. Same thing, cap snaps off. It does stick into place, but I don't trust it. I would never pick this bottle up by the cap. The distribution, actually a very nice atomizer. So I will start off by saying that this does share some of the original Eros DNA, but it's fresher. It has a lot of citruses added to it. It has some woody notes added to it, or rather the woody notes that were present in the original formulation are turned up in this. And the sweetness is turned down. So right there, that gives it more versatility for the warmer weather. Whereas before, the original Eros Eau de Toilette was strictly, almost strictly for the cold weather, right? It was very sweet, piercingly sweet. We all remember it for that. Anyway, this one, like I said, definitely adds a fresh tinge. This is definitely appropriate for the warmer weather as well. So up top here, the opening, we have mandarin orange, black pepper, Kenoto, lemon, and rosemary. In the mid, we have pepper, geranium, and rose. In the dry down, we have the vanilla, tonka bean, Texas cedar, sandalwood, patchouli, and oak moss. Very complicated note breakdown, and I think honestly it's a little bit overdone. My nose definitely detects some similarities, but also quite a few differences. So what I actually detect in this is I definitely get the lemon, very heavy lemon up top, mixed with some black pepper. Maybe slightly orangey. In the mid, I get a little bit of geranium, which adds a slight mintiness mixed with the pepper. And in the dry down, I definitely get that vanilla, tonka bean, but the cedar and the oak moss are turned up in the dry down. So the dry down is slightly sweet, but also has woodiness to it, which I think really works for this fragrance. I think it's really nice. I think it's a nice departure from just the overly cloyingly sweet dry down of the original. So this one here is, very good. In fact, it's my second favorite from the whole line after the original Eau de Parfum. This one shares with the original Eau de Parfum some characteristics where they're both definitely more grown up than the original Eros EDT. This one obviously has more of a citrus focus, and the original Eau de Parfum has more of a mint focus. Also, the woods in that one are quite prominent. So this one, I'm gonna say, is a huge compliment getter. It's also not so commonly worn, at least where I am. And where I am, wearing perfumes, wearing colognes is extremely popular. And I have to say, I haven't smelled this very often out in public at all. But on the other hand, I have received many, many compliments. So yeah, if you're looking for compliments, this is definitely a great choice. Now, like I said, it's great for the cool weather. It's also good for warm weather. Versatility on this is great. I think this would be perfect for almost any occasion. Work, clubbing, night out, date. This takes that original really sweet DNA, turns the sweetness down, citrusy notes up, turns up the freshness, turns up the woods, and at the end of the day, you're left with, yes, remnants of the original DNA, but just done in a more uplifting, well-rounded, more mature way. I really like this. The performance on my skin is pretty much the same as the original. It's got really good performance. Longevity in my skin, 8+ hours, projects about an arm's length for the first 2 hours, and the sillage is great, hangs around in the air for about 20 minutes after initial application. The other great thing about this is the price. For a 100 milliliter bottle, you can get this on FragranceNet for about $68 US if you apply the coupon, which I always recommend. And I know that in certain markets, for example, Colombia, Brazil, other places that have parts that are in the southern hemisphere, I know that perfumes can be on the less expensive side compared to places like the United States. But again, it all depends on where you're shopping, if you're looking at retail or discount websites, for example. So taking all those things into consideration, I think for what you get here, you know, $70 US for a 100 milliliter bottle, while it's not dirt cheap, I think it's a really good value for what you get here. This is just a really nice scent. It's a great uplifting twist on the original DNA. And I highly recommend it for any guy, any age, just about any situation. The only instances I would avoid wearing this would be perhaps in the extremely hot, humid weather. So anything over 30 degrees Celsius with high humidity. Might say no, because it does have a little bit of the sweetness with the vanilla and the tonka bean. But other than that, I think you're good to go with any type of weather, any scenario, just about any age. It does lean masculine, I find, as the original Eros DNA does. And yeah, that has been my review of Versace Eros Flame. I hope you've enjoyed it. Again, please subscribe if you haven't already, and please like the video if you've enjoyed it. Thanks, guys. Keep it real. Take care.